Hey guys, it's me Kevin, and today I am going to be going through my tips for the 2020 AFL season round 1. It has been a crazy start to the year, even before a ball has been kicked, amid coronavirus fears of the competition shutting down, and the call for round 1 was only confirmed yesterday. So, on Thursday night at an empty MCG between Richmond and Carlton, pretty obvious, Richmond coming off a premiership. Carlton, I was a little bit disappointed by their recruiting period, to be honest with you. I mean, they got Jack Martin and Nunes. Betts isn't playing. Richmond, pretty much at full strength, coming off a premiership. You'd expect Richmond to win this in a landslide, although I do expect Carlton to be somewhat competitive against the Tigers, but I don't think it would be enough to see a victory for the Blues, so I'm tipping the Tigers. On Friday night at Marvel Stadium, Collingwood versus the Western Bulldogs. It's a pretty hard one to tip. Collingwood played pretty well under the roof, but how will they fare against a near full-strength Collingwood side? And although Collingwood have come off a preliminary final loss against the Giants, they would be bitter about that. The Bulldogs, I think they're a good team. I think they were impressed a lot this year, but whether they could kickstart it against a near full-strength Collingwood side is debatable. And considering that not every home team will win this week, I think this will be one of the rare times. I'm tipping Collingwood. Although I do expect this to be a very tight game. Saturday afternoon, Essendon versus Fremantle. It's another interesting one. An injury-depleted Essendon, who are finally starting to get some players back, against an injury-depleted Fremantle, who don't have players back. I think home factor would have to come into play in this game, and I'm tipping Essendon. And they also were pretty convincing in the Marsh, actually. Despite being mass injured and despite most of their players on a limited season, they did beat West Coast and Geelong. Whilst Fremantle, they've had some similar issues themselves with injury, and I think at Marvel Stadium, Essendon will be too strong for a young Fremantle side. Also on Saturday afternoon at Adelaide Oval between Adelaide and Sydney. It's young versus young, really. I'm tipping Adelaide only because it's at home. I do think Sydney will win some games this year, but I don't think they fare very well at Adelaide Oval, usually, the Swans. And to be honest, I think Adelaide will struggle, but I feel like for the Crows, if there is a game that they're going to win, it's this game, because they're playing a young Sydney side without Buddy Franklin. So I think home advantage will come into play for Adelaide. Even though they're not playing in front of a crowd, but dimensions-wise, they still know they're still suited to their own defensive dimension, so technically they still have the own ground advantage to an extent. Saturday night, GWS versus Geelong. I expect... Okay, this is one of the rare times GWS actually do look like to be fully fit. So I do, apart from Tim Turano, I'm not sure about Ward. But apart from that, they seem to be near full strength. I think GWS will absolutely flog Geelong, who are aging. I think Geelong are going to be a very inconsistent side, and I do think the aging Cats won't be able to fare very well against a Giants side, which will be at near full strength and coming off a grand final loss. And they would want revenge. So I do expect the Giants to win, especially that it's at home as well. Also on Saturday night, an interesting one, Gold Coast versus Port Adelaide. I initially tipped the Suns in an upset. The reason being is they tend to play better in the early part of the season and drop off late in the season. That seems to be the story for Gold Coast. But Port Adelaide did impress me in their Marsh Community Series, beating the Bulldogs and absolutely smashing, can't think of the team that they absolutely ripped apart. I'll get to that in a minute, but Port Adelaide, Brisbane, it was Brisbane. Yeah, they absolutely slaughtered Brisbane, and I think I was quite impressed with Port Adelaide. Charlie Dixon's out, but I'm getting a liking of Gregory Artis, or however you pronounce his name. It's going to be a very tight game in Gold Coast's home soil, and I think Port Adelaide will be able to win just. Sunday afternoon, North Melbourne versus St Kilda. I'll be tipping St Kilda. North Melbourne haven't done a lot to convince me in the Marsh hit-out, and they're a very inconsistent side. Whilst I like St Kilda, what they're doing right now. They've recruited 5 mature age players, and they're getting a lot of other players back, a lot of good players for St Kilda that were injured previously. And they were also quite impressive in the Marsh Community Series, being Hawthorn and Collingwood, 2 teams that not exactly the easiest to beat. So I think St Kilda will come quite well against the Kangaroos, and I think they're going to be a promising side this year. Hawthorn versus Brisbane at the MCG. Brisbane don't play very well at the MCG, knowing them, so that's why I'm tipping Hawthorn. Brisbane haven't won there since 2014. Hawthorn, they're an inconsistent side, but they get Tom Mitchell back, and they're a pretty good side. They've also got Sam Frost and John Patton to boost their key stocks. Against a Brisbane side, which I think will do well this year, but I think they'll be inconsistent. I don't think they'll be as good as last year, given that they haven't won a game since 2014 at the G. I think this will be going towards Hawthorn in a game where both sides seem to be evenly matched. And lastly, on Sunday twilight, West Coast versus Melbourne. Melbourne will feel tired with the trip over to Optus Stadium against a side involving players like Luke Shuey and Tim Kelly, the biggest addition to the Eagles, as well as Andrew Gaff. Point being, it's a strong midfield. You throw in Nick Natanui, who's probably been fit for the first time in 4 years, as well as Josh Kennedy and Jack Darling, and hopefully Jeremy McGovern down back will be able to play. You're looking at a very strong Eagles side, and I think Melbourne will get absolutely flogged, and that's why I am tipping West Coast. They should easily account for Melbourne at home. So, to recap my tips, I am tipping Richmond, Collingwood, Essendon, Adelaide, GWS, Port Adelaide, St Kilda, Hawthorn, and West Coast. I hope you liked the video. Please comment what you think down below, who will win this weekend, and what will happen with the scheduling. I want to know, what will happen? Will they play a midweek round straight after round 1? I'm not sure. They haven't announced it. But anyway, comment who you think will win round 1 down below, and share this video with other people. And this will be a series that will be going on for the entire year, so tune in every week. And I'll be doing other videos as well, so check those out as well. I'll see you next week in the AFL Tipping video. Actually, I'll probably be doing a COVID-19 video before then, but I'll see you whenever I upload next. Bye.